Go Ford for your next truck or SUV and find an easier way to buy with Woodhouse Ford today, and experience the convenience of buying with Woodhouse Ford. Save up to $13,000 off MSRP on a 2023 Ford F-150 XLT, plus 3.9% APR for 60 months with approved credit. $299 doc fee due at signing. Security deposit waived. Expires 1/02/2024.
My name is Terry Lynch. I'm with Oregon Ufology. I found myself searching for a passageway one day. And that passageway leads right across the complete section of the Cascades, which I'm sitting in front of at the moment. On top of one peak. I want to make sure that everybody sees the type of things that we find in the process of research for ufology. I have located a couple that's sitting here on the top of Liner Peak. She's facing south. He's facing north.
The Middle, Cascadia Guides, alleged production, in conjunction with Alien Strand Films.
Those sort of marks, is that pretty typical of what contact experiencers have on their body after an event?
Certainly involving abductions. There have been many cases of triangular marks, circular marks, and other types of strange marks which are inexplicable.
Every year, hundreds of people are reported missing in national parks and forests, many of them children. And most are eventually found, whether dead or alive. But a small percentage of the cases, some right here in Oregon, are never solved. The mystery those cases present has one man wondering if there's a common denominator behind the disappearances that have search and rescue crews continuing to scratch their heads.
One of these objects was maneuvering in a very erratic and strange fashion. And it suddenly exploded in the sky, showering all this strange wreckage down into the harbour.
Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Desma, and welcome to today's show. Man, we've been doing a lot of shows lately, man. I really appreciate everybody listening, because right now we're just doing an audio podcast. We didn't go video today. I just decided to do some audio because, you know what? I'm just bringing it back a little bit like when I used to do it from the beginning, right? I used to tell a lot of stories and just kind of get intrigued of everything that's happening out there in our skies and everything around there, is like in space and debris that falls from the sky, and people, are always recording UFOs every day, and it's all over our Facebook. Now, if you're listening today, you're listening on 26, 27 platforms. Catch us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, like you're listening to live right now. You are live on Spreaker. Thank you for listening. And, you will catch us on a bunch of platforms, man. And actually, tonight, I believe I will be going live on the video and audio podcast. So you might get a 2-for-1 today, man, for your audio listeners out there. Now, remember, you can always play Alien Strand Podcast on Alexa. So if you want to ask Alexa to play Alien Strand Podcast, she'll play some Alien Strand. Now, we had some past podcasts with Mr. Terry Lynch last week. That was a pretty good one. We talked about how to record, UFOs up in the sky, and how to catch them with your cameras, with your professional cameras, even with your cell phone cameras. We even gave you some apps out there that you can actually download. They didn't pay us for anything like that, but we like to throw it out there because you know why? If you're new to ufology, well, welcome to ufology, but this is a great tool for you guys to learn ufology and learn how to just catch a lot of these things up in the sky, right? With your cell phones. Most everybody just gonna have a cell phone, but me, man, I like keeping a handy dandy, nice zoom camera with me at all times, because not all the time your camera's going to do very well at night, especially with your phones. I know iPhones are great. Even the new Galaxies and new Androids and then the new Google phones that are coming out, they're actually starting to do some great cameras. But you got to remember, there's a lot of small parts inside of that camera, and it's not like a professional camera where you got a bigger lens. You got better mechanisms. You got a bigger processor chip. So in other words, you're able to pull in the light from the darkness. In other words, up in the sky, with your cameras, when you're trying to, especially, man, have you ever tried to catch a photo of just the moon? I don't know. I've seen people's photos out there, man. They're just amazing photos. I'm like, wow, that's a great photo. How'd you do that? I try to do mine. Mine's just glowing, and you can't even make out the moon. You can't even make out the craters, and a lot of people are using these awesome professional cameras too. Now, there's amazing software out there that'll help you out as well, but that'll help you do that too, to get a great image. But it's a lot of work to not just take the photo, but to analyze them yourselves, right? And that's what we do at Alien Strand Disclosure Project. We try to analyze these things ourselves. Now, if you're new to ufology, we have a group called Alien Strand Disclosure Project. They're on Facebook. Now, it's a private group. Just look for it. I'll throw a link on this podcast on there as well. Now, if you guys want to join that, this is for learning ufologists or people that are really into ufology. If you're a troll and you're going to talk crack and smack and all that, whatever, forget it. Don't even bother, because we're not going to deal with you. You know what I mean? And if you decided to do that and become a troll, I feel sorry for you on 100 other groups that we're going to block you out of as well. Now, we're not here just to give you a hard time about that, but we just frown on the trolls, man, because we're trying to learn ufology, and there's a lot of new people out there that are trying to learn, and when they catch something, they're excited about it, right? I know I was the first time I caught something on my camera. When I talk here on this podcast, I speak just not by just talking about it, but I speak by example, because I do record a lot of crafts with my phone or with my professional cameras, things like that, and I'm able to throw it out there to you guys so you guys can see it. And I actually analyze a lot of photos on Alien Strand Disclosure Project, right? So I do that as well for folks that will throw an image out there, and if they don't know how to do it on their apps, I'll do it for them and kind of just throw the photos on their comment section, right? And everybody usually appreciates that 150%, because they're able to see the craft, electronic magnetic fields, things like that around these crafts, where we're always talking about their propulsion systems, their gravitational pulls, and how they, use these quantum physics in order to have their propulsion where they're able to kind of float there in the sky on a low hover, right? And me and Terry talked about that a lot. But on this last podcast, we're talking about other UFO crafts that were out there, a couple of videos that we were analyzing. And we did this on video and audio. So if you want to follow us on Alien Strand on YouTube, go to our YouTube channel, man. And look for type in Alien Strand podcast, right? And you'll find it there, and you'll see a lot of our videos. Go to the live section. That's where a lot of our videos are that we do here, like with the podcast and everything all together. It'll be all in the live section. Now, there's a surprise on there on our YouTube channel. Now, we did throw the movie The Middle, our first documentary. We threw it on there for free for you guys, so you guys can go check that out. And it's going to be on there just a short time. We'll be taking it down probably by the end of this week, all right? So please go check it out and give us some views. Give us a like and subscribe, and we want you guys to watch it, but at the same time, click us a like and subscribe, and just give us some comments on it, some feedback on if you enjoyed it, things like that. Please don't be ugly, be courteous, and we appreciate like everything that you guys do, and just share it too, so you can share it yourself. And that movie was everybody's really enjoying it. I think right now, I just barely put it out about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks. Got about 700 hits already, pretty close. That's pretty good, for people that are sitting out there watching it for free, right? Because, hey, you can pay for it on YouTube, on other channels and platforms, Amazon, things like that. Now, speaking of that, we're going to have our new film, The Middle Part 2, CE3, that's going to be coming out here shortly, within a week or two, on Amazon Prime. Be looking out for that film. That's going to be the second part to The Middle Part 1, right? Because I hate to be a spoiler for you, I kind of leave you hanging in the first movie. So, and it starts off where I left you hanging on the second movie, all right? So, and these are documentary films, so please pay attention to all the content that's on there, because it's in there for you guys to learn, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to teach you guys ufology at the same time. We're showing you exactly what's happening to these folks out there that are going through these, just amazing things that once they catch a UFO up in the sky, or they catch it on film, or, even in close proximity to a lot of these folks, they do start getting these almost like paranormal things that are happening in their homes, right, at the same time. And it's kind of strange, because we were putting these things together, right? I've been putting it together for the past year and a half now, that these things coincide with the interdimensional beings as well. So what I'm trying to say here is that the extraterrestrial, I believe, can go into this different dimension, right? And it's able to coincide with possibly the spiritual realm of us as human beings, right? Because we are all a part of some kind of energy, right? And then so when we leave our bodies, our vessels, we take that energy with us, right? And we go into a different realm. So I have a feeling that these extraterrestrials can actually go into that realm as well, because it almost mimics the same things we see like in the paranormal world, right? Because we do paranormal as well as Alien Strand Disclosure Project. We just don't do aliens, we do paranormal, we do Bigfoot, we do cryptids, we do things like that. But, I know we focus a lot on ufology because I think it all starts somewhere, right? And we're always looking up to the skies for the answers, especially in ufology, because we always think that Bigfoot as well is kind of tied into extraterrestrials, and usually when somebody sees a Bigfoot or has a Bigfoot sighting, 9 times out of 10 they'll see a UFO close by, or there's a report of a UFO close by, right? So, and that's what I'm trying to bring to your attention, that this is the possibility of how these worlds collide, right? And how they kind of go together. And it's neither here nor there, but I mean, we're always trying to just figure it out, right? How do we figure this out, right? And how do we put this together? And where did all this start? And there's been sightings since the beginning of human existence as far as record keeping, right? Because human existence has been around for more than 300,000 years already. They have figured that out already, right? Because I had a podcast in the past talking about, the Homo sapiens, talking about, the Neanderthalic people from 200,000 years ago. And there was still folks 100,000 years before that. Now, I think I just shared it on one of my Alien Strand podcasts on Facebook. So I do have an Alien Strand podcast as well. But I shared one on that page of, that they found some feet marks of human feet from over 300,000 years ago, right? So they're starting to figure out that, people that had a human-like structure or feature walked the earth back then as well, right? And what I'm trying to say is, did these folks see that, or these, hominid people see these crafts like we're seeing them today? Or did they not even pay attention to the sky, right? Were they smart enough to even look at the sky, or they were just kind of surviving how to hunt and things like that?
Go Ford for your next truck or SUV and find an easier way to buy with Woodhouse Ford today, and experience the convenience of buying with Woodhouse Ford. Save up to $13,000 off MSRP on a 2023 Ford F-150 XLT, plus 3.9% APR for 60 months with approved credit. $299 doc fee due at signing. Security deposit waived. Expires 1/02/2024.
Wake up at Holiday Inn Express to a can't-miss breakfast that's free with every stay. Count on all the hot, fresh coffee you need and an incredible breakfast buffet that has something for everyone, like eggs, cinnamon rolls, and even hot, fresh pancakes with all the toppings you crave. Next time, do yourself a favor and stay at a Holiday Inn Express with a can't-miss breakfast that's free with every stay. So, when you wake up at Holiday Inn Express, you'll wake up happy. A part of IHG Hotels and Resorts.
All aboard for your chance to win $1,000 every week until December 28th. That's right, $1,000 cash just in time for the holidays. To hop on board, just head to ChurchillMortgage.com and punch your ticket to the Churchill Express giveaway. Visit ChurchillMortgage.com for your chance to win big.
This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
And as time moves on and went forward, right, thousands and thousands of years, we were trying to figure these things out on how to get, what people were starting to see, and they were starting to record, right? Because back in the days, they started doing the Anunnaki, and the Sumerians started recording their stories of the human, how the human being was actually made, right? To the Ijiji and the Anunnaki, and they used the Ijiji as workers, and then there was a big uprising and things like that, right? So a lot of these things were in these books, to where they were trying to figure these things out, and they just wrote it on a piece of paper, right? And what better yet to write is like true events of things that have happened in the past, right? And it was, I know I've probably read maybe one or two things to you of what's happened in the past before, but, like I said, it goes back a long way. There's one story here from a Gregory Bishop tours in France, and he relates to this story of how in 584 CE, it says they appeared a brilliant light in the sky, like sky rays, which would cross and collide with one another. While the following year in the monolith, September, certain people saw signs of, and they say the same rays, right? Like domes, such of, they were seeing these things up in the sky. They just didn't know what they were looking at, right? They said, and there was other places at that time, they were saying they were seeing these things across the sky. They looked like golden globes, like a globe up in the sky, right? On several different occasions. And this was in France, right? We're talking 584 CE. So they're already starting, to record a lot of these things that they're starting to see up in the sky, right? Even in 793, Angelo Saxon Chronicle reported that in this year, terrible things appeared in Northumbria, and it affected the inhabitants. They said they saw flashes of lightning, like the fiery dragons that seen through the air. It said these events were also recorded by Roger Wendover, who wrote, "Fiery dragons in the sky alarmed and wretched the nation of the English," right? So they were seeing a lot of these things in the sky that they just couldn't understand what they're seeing. Now, was it lightning? It's a possibility, where they could have been having like some strange electronic magnetic disturbance up in the clouds to where they just didn't understand what they were seeing. But they all were recording it as like fiery, right? Like even in the 12th century, there's a chronicle. This guy's name's Ralph Niger. It said in March 1170, in Essex, in England, he said a large dragon was seen up in the bourne from above the earth, right? Through the air, he said. The air was kindled into fire, motion, and burnt a house, reducing it to the other outbuildings to ashes. In other words, it caught some houses on fire. And I believe I told you that one before, And these are the things that happens to folks in the past, right? That have been, have reported these things and seen the same things up in the sky. And everybody back then called these things flying dragons, right? Or even like orbs, right? I think there was one that says in 1528, Wolfhart reports in Holland that it was under siege by strange and cruel sight that was seen in the sky. It says it was directly over the city, yellow in color and fearful and beholden. It says in the morning of April 4th, 1561, blue and black and blood red balls along with discs, and blood red crosses that emerged from two huge black cylinders battled together in the skies over Nuremberg, Germany. This was in 1561. Okay, so they're seeing. They don't even have no balloons or things like that yet. It's just they're seeing two things battle up in the sky. What does that? And we always try to figure out, what these people were trying to see back in those days. So, and the best way that they can write these things down was like it's a fiery and it's a dragon, or, these discs or orbs or globes. It was the best way for them to describe what they were seeing. And they didn't understand what the atmosphere was. They didn't understand how lightning or anything like that was put together in a lot of these strange sightings. Now there's a painting actually of that actual battle that happened there in Germany on April 4th, 1561. Nuremberg. So you've seen it in a lot of like these History Channel, UFO documentaries, things like that. It shows like a sun. It almost it looks like a kid painted it, and there's like orbs everywhere, crosses, and it just looks like there's a battle happening up in the sky. This was an old painting that somebody did of what they saw, right? So if they recorded these things of seeing it, they saw something exactly in the sky. They just didn't know exactly what they were looking at, right? And back in those days, they just, how did they figure these things out? How do you put those things together? How do you put those things together in your mind of what you're actually looking at back then, not now? I know, because our thinking now is like, come on, man, it was this or it was that, but you have to put yourselves in their shoes, how their mindset, how their dialect was, how their thought process was. It was simple. It wasn't as detailed and as complex and technical as we are today. Because believe me, if you were to go back, you yourself right now were to go back in time to 1500 right now, your intellect, even what would be so much larger than anything they've ever heard before. And your words, your dialect, that they'll think you're a freaking genius, right? So just kind of think about that. Not saying that these people were like idiots or dumb or anything like that. No, there was a lot of smart, scientists came from back in those days. A lot of intelligent people. But I'm just saying the simple-minded thinking was what I'm trying to say is how they described things up in the sky back in the 700s and the 800s and the 1500s. They're trying to figure these things out of what they're seeing up in the sky. And then they try to break these things down. Now, as time goes on, we end up pushing forward, and then we start thinking, well, once our time came to start noticing these things from 1947, actually before that, I believe in 1943. So these things were starting to come into play a little bit more for us to start paying attention a little bit more, right? Our 20th century dialect and intellect start coming into play to where we start thinking, well, these ain't dragons up in the sky. We've already started making airplanes, things like that. We were just barely getting into later on, like maybe 20 years later, getting into the space program, right? But we were already getting there. But things didn't go forward until 1947, right? Because you got to remember, I always say this, and I've said it in a past podcast, once 1947, the crash of Roswell hit, that our technology took off from that day forward. From 1947, remember, that's just 3 years from 1950, and then 1961, our first space launch, right? That's only 14 years. That's it. From that day forward. Now, if you look at today, like the artificial intelligence, go back from 2023, 14 years. Right? 2011, things like that. How much have we advanced from that day to today? As far as our cell phones, our technology has grown ever since, right? It's just constantly stepping forward 10 steps at least every year. It's not like, we're going super slow like in this, from 700s and then next 100 years in the 800s, they're still in a wagon. You know what I'm trying to say? Is the thought process wasn't there to go forward, and the technology wasn't there. Nothing was there yet. Nothing was set in place. Still fighting with swords, with bows and arrows and everything that they could find back in the day. Now, what I'm trying to say, from 1947 on, our technology shot forward extremely fast. Why? Because whatever was inside that craft, what they've talked about before, they said the inside of that craft had almost like fishing string all inside of it that was controlling this whole craft. So, thus, we get our fiber optics from, right? They said it looked like a fishing string with a light that was controlling this whole ship with some kind of huge ball or square that was in the center of this, on the bottom of this ship, that was the brains of everything, right? So which we call processors today. It was processing everything, and it was sending all the signals to the ships. Now, what does a processor do in your computer? It's the main CPU of your computer or your phone or anything. Everything has processors now. So it controls all the information that goes to this entire thing that you have in your hand or in front of you, that controls everything, right? But you are the ones, as I'm talking about as human beings, are the ones that put the processing chip together. In other words, we feed it the information, just like AI. We feed that information in it, so it can actually perform these tasks a lot faster than what we can today, that they could back in the day, right? So these processors are doing it for you. How they figured it out? Through the crash, 1947, everything like that. It pushed everything forward, right? Tenfold, man. I'm telling you, this is exactly what happened. Because there's no difference of why it took from 700 to 800 to 900 years for these folks to not even get on board to them. They're still using bows and arrows and flints and things like that, right? Until the 20th century hit. Early 20th century. So these are the changes that were made. And I don't know if you question it, but I question everything, right? So, and I always thought to myself, man, did something like that happen back in the day? Did it crash? Was there another crash? There had to have been another crash back in the day, right? Because these things are not perfect. They're going to crash. Something's going to fail, right? Anything man-made will fail. Your computer will fail. Your microphone will fail. Your car, your engine eventually will fail. Right? It's not going to run forever. Why do you think they decommission aircraft? They know that these things are coming close to failing. They shut them down, right? Now, the same thing with these spacecraft, right? They're gonna fail. Nothing is perfect, right? So, and that's because I'm talking about man-made things, but even extraterrestrials, they have fault as well, right? Because they crashed, apparently. We've shot these things down too before. They've shut us down from having war. You know, so you have to think about these things. We're moving forward only because they showed us these things from the very, very beginning of time. Like I talked about in my Patreon. So if you go to our Patreon site, you know, there's a couple of podcasts that I have that is not available to everybody. It's only for Patreon listeners. If you go there, you'll see what I was talking about on a lot of these podcasts. I think I had one here too. And how a lot of these things probably kicked us off to go forward from the very beginning of time, right? Even with man. Like, who's to say we didn't know how to hunt very well? Right?
Capture life's moments like never before with Rockbrook Camera, Nebraska and Western Iowa's premier camera store since 1975. Rockbrook Camera is not just about selling you a camera. It's about helping you become a real photographer, recording your life and sharing it with others. Today's cameras are faster, easier to use, capable of shooting stunning video, and with film photography making a comeback, There's never been a better time to dive into the world of photography. Rockbrook Camera goes as fast or as slow as you want to go. You can try before you buy with camera rentals, or give that older generation camera in the used department a whole new journey. Find Rockbrook Camera, 1 block south of 168th and West Center in Omaha, 70th and Pioneers in Lincoln, and at rockbrookcamera.com. That's rockbrookcamera.com. Discover or rediscover your love of photography today at Rockbrook Camera. Great photography begins here.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
I'm Margot Robbie, and I play Barbie.
And I'm Ryan Gosling, and I play Ken.
Max is now the exclusive streaming home of Barbie.
So cool.
And the Max with Ads plan is included with your Cricket $60 unlimited plan at no additional cost. Log in with your Cricket username and password to experience Max on all your favorite devices.
This is the best day ever.
It is the best day ever.
Don't miss Barbie, now streaming on Max. Phone plan streams in standard definition. Programming subject to change. Fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
You know, and they probably showed us a lot of things back in the day. I'm just hypothesizing here now. It's not like I know, or it's not like anybody knows really in reality, because if you really think about it, everything we've all written down, it's all written down by man. Everything. So, and we always try to figure these things out of how the beginning of man started, the beginning of everything started, right? And we always just try to hypothesize everything and just try to figure out, okay, did it happen that way? Maybe some did. You know, there was a lot of witnesses to a lot of things that happened, right? And that's why they wrote these things down. The Book of Enoch, the Anunnaki with the Sumerians, the Bible. It was all written by witnessed events, right? So, which makes this a little interesting. Now, speaking of witnessed events, there was this post I threw out there on Alien Strand Disclosure Project and on Alien Strand Podcast there on Facebook. So it was called The Mystery of the Blue Stones from Heaven that fell in Africa, right? It was the year 1990, and tried to find out whether in Congo, a region north of Sierra Leone in Africa, there was a diamond-rich site. Italian geologist Angelico Pittoni was sent during that trip. The geologist received from Fula chief, the Fulani tribe, some of this, they saw some of the strange blue stones that they had, right? Said the stones themselves had a striking blue color with whitish colored veils running through them. And these stones were something, he goes, I had never seen before. While I had experienced geology, I couldn't identify what the material was, Pittoni said. When he returned to Europe, he took the stones to the Geneva Institute of Natural Sciences and the La Sapienza University in Rome, as well as different laboratories in the Netherlands, also in Tokyo, Japan, and in Fredericksburg, Germany, to analyze these stones. The surprise were major when he was told that the blue stones didn't correspond to any known mineral. He says the tribe people claim that the stones came from visitors who came down from heaven. So the stones were known by the sky stones. Or sky stones. A fragment of the rock was subject to another rigorous examination, and the results showed that the elements that make it up, according to the analysis, are 77.17% oxygen. The remaining percentages were divided into 11.58 carbon, 6.39 silicon, 3.31 calcium, and the other elements that are almost non-existent. This means that this rock basically composed of oxygen. Huh. Later, they would discover the molecular formula of the mysterious compound called C17H2403. On the other hand, its carbon dating ingredients of the stone had been on Earth for at least 2,500 years through 17,000 years ago. While almost every element of our planet comes from outer space, the rarity of this blue stone has captivated scientists, collectors, and amateurs. An alternative explanation says that this fascinating material arrived in a meteorite, while the local legend still prevails that they are arrived by celestial beings who angered the gods, and as punishment they were condemned to lie underground. Beautiful blue stone. But it gets you thinking, right? These people had these stones that nobody had ever seen before. Now, we all know that a lot of things and a lot of human beings and a lot of the human factor came from Africa, in that general area. It's where everything started. That's why when you do a DNA ancestral DNA of your blood, or it's a lot of it's going to come from Africa, because that's where everything started. So it kind of now gets you thinking, right? Let's dig a little deeper. What the story we just heard from this African tribe, saying that it was given to their ancestors by these ancestral beings that came down from the heaven, who were condemned to live underground, right? So there's your aha moment. That we were possibly in contact with these things for a long, long time. I mean, why not be in contact? And now they say these things live underground, right? Which we see a lot of these extraterrestrial crafts going into the earth, going into volcanoes, going into a lot of these underground facilities. We hear about it all the time through David Grush. We heard it through, all these folks that talked about these underground bases, Snyder, these battles that happen underground with these beings, right? Phil Snyder. We've all watched that video where he starts talking about it. And we have so many people coming out now just talking about these things and that they live underground. Now, we called them conspiracy theorists forever. But now we start putting these stories together, start putting two and two together, start looking back about our history, right? And then here we go. We start getting these pieces of the puzzle start coming together. But we're starting to understand exactly where a lot of this came from. And it came from outside our planet. Maybe they just planted their, I'm not going to say their seed or their ancestral or celestial seed, but maybe the seed of knowledge. Maybe we were already here, right? They just helped. And the only reason I say that is because if they're the ones that made us, we would be looking just like them, right? And we don't. We don't look anything like them. We're human-like. They're human-like, right? They got a head, they got 2 eyes, they got ears, they got 2 arms, they got a body, a torso, 2 legs, 2 arms, right? They have the same structure. But we are not them because we don't look anything like them. And you can go on and say that, you know, we've evolved and things like that. Now, if we would have evolved from them.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Then why haven't they evolved? Is my question, right? Because if we already evolved, how come they haven't? Why do they still look the way they do? Talking about the grays here. So you can't use that evolutional theory that we came from them in a sense of that. Now, I'm talking about the DNA structured hypothesis. You know, it's a possibility that maybe they helped a little bit, maybe, but I don't think we are them. I think that this is just me personal speaking, that I just think that they just helped with us move forward so we can evolve. Technologically, right? And move forward and get off this planet as well as they have. I believe that was their influence. And they left traces behind because there's traces of history all over the place. Petroglyphs, geoglyphs. Ancient peoples drawing photos and pictures of these people from the past that look like large heads, big eyes, skinny, long arms. You know, they drew photos of these things. They couldn't take pictures because they didn't know how. It was just they had to put it on a rock. And they put it inside of a cave, mind you. Because they knew it would last out of the elements. So we would be able to find these things later in life. So these are the things to think about as we move forward. The theory of everything, right? But we're not going to lose our will to say, we're still going to be looking for you in our skies. We still want the answers. And like I always say, are we going to get it? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. But I think the answer will come to all of us the day you close your eyes forever. And that's the day you get your answer. And maybe one day we'll get an answer before that happens. Hey, that would be great, right? But that's not going to stop us from pushing forward and getting true disclosure out there of what we're trying to do here with Alien Strand and Alien Strand Disclosure Project. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to this podcast today. It was my pleasure to give you this amazing information, right? Because that's what it is. I hope you learned something today. You know, I did. I always learn something every time. Every time I'm not just because I'm telling you these stories, but I'm learning as I'm going, because my mind just is going 100 miles an hour. And I'm thinking outside the box, right? Because that's what I do. And I hope you guys do too, man. Just kind of think outside the box, you know, question everything, and just kind of, you know, make your own judgments and hypotheses of things that you think that it's a possibility. Now, you don't got to believe me. No. I just go out here and I just kind of throw you the information. And then from there, you figure it out, right? Because that's what we do. Catch us on 26, 27 platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, man, Spreaker. Thank you for listening today live. We are live, man. That's the best way to listen to it, I think. You know, we're on CastBox. We're on Apple. We're on everywhere, man. Don't forget, catch your movie The Middle, and The Middle 2 is coming out as well. You know, I hope you guys really enjoy the content that's coming from Alien Strand Podcast. If you do like this podcast, please give us a thumbs up, a like, share it with your friends out there. Go to our YouTube page, click us a like and subscribe. Don't forget, go check out The Middle, because at the end of the week, I'm shutting it down, so you get to see it for free, man. Hey, you can't be free, right? Free, man. Go check it out. I really like you guys to go see it. And before part 2 comes out here on Amazon Prime, because that one is not going to be free, and that one's going to be an actually paid one almost for a whole year. All right. So just kind of be prepared for that one until it comes out on Tubi TV. So, but until then, you know, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.